Hey everybody, it's Dennis. Well, here we are in Macro Module 3 and moving through it pretty quickly. We've done leading change, we'll have purpose-driven leadership, and then developing people. We're saving the best for last as we go through these different segments.
Hello everyone, this is Kevin Cashman with Korn Ferry, and I really look forward to working with all of you. And Dennis has been a colleague for many years, so I look forward to building on all the great work that he's been doing with you. What we're going to focus on is purpose-driven leadership. It's very easy as leaders to think that our purpose is performance, and on one level it is, but it's a very different reality when purpose is driving your performance to new heights. Now with Alicorp, you've got a great purpose organizationally, but it'll be very important to get clear on what your purpose is that drives and resonates with Alicorp's purpose. So to do that, we're going to explore something called the pause principle, which gives you the ability to step back in order to lead forward more effectively. It really helps you go from managing or executing to leading across the enterprise. So we're going to discuss how to pause to lead forward with greater purpose and also a deepening of your story. So you're going to be doing an exercise on what we call your lifeline of your highs and your lows, and we're going to extract the key learnings about what are your gifts, what do you need to grow, and when you give your gifts and your growth edge to others, what value does it really create? So I look forward to seeing you so that we can learn how to pause on the significance of our story and pause on purpose in order to bring our gifts and growth edge in a way that gives others optimal value. So see you very soon. All the best. Bye.
The developing people segment is what you'll see me again for, and so I want to talk through that a little bit. In there, we're going to talk about talent mindset, we're going to talk about empowerment, we're going to talk about feedback and coaching, and we're going to talk about difficult conversations. It's a two-part series, so we have 2 sessions that we'll do. The first session that you'll have me leading is going to be very much about how do we think about talent. I'll lightly touch on the talent review process at Alicorp, and then much more, we're going to spend time focusing on feedback and coaching skills with some interesting practice opportunities that I think you're going to like. The second piece of developing people will be a very specific advanced skill set that's led by my good friend Debbie Goldstein, who's going to do advanced skills on difficult conversations. It's going to be really interesting and a lot of fun, and something we can all use some practice in. So we always want to keep it real and we want to keep it applied. And so your pre-work for the developing people module is to write down 3 difficult coaching conversations that you have faced or will face. Some of us don't like the high performer who now isn't doing quite as good, and we have to give them the feedback that they're not up to the standard that we expect. Some of us don't like the person who's struggling and trying very hard, but they're just not quite making it. And how are we coaching them a little more explicitly or specifically? But write down for you 2 or 3 of the difficult coaching conversations or scenarios that you face. We'll be using that for my segment on the coaching skills and the talent piece. Then you'll also find in your pre-work a little more detailed worksheet where you should take one of those 3 difficult conversations or difficult coaching situations and do a little more detailed breakdown. And that is the piece that Debbie is going to use in her difficult conversations segment with you. So part one, write down broadly the 3 kinds of coaching conversations that you might struggle with or that you could use some practice in, and we will be working with those in my segment. And then take one of those and use the other worksheet in your pre-work to fill out the little 2-column piece so that you've got a little more detail on one of those that's the most difficult conversation that you expect to face or that you have faced. And we're going to practice getting better and better at that. Really looking forward to seeing everybody. As always, you reach out if you have questions, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hi, everyone. I'm Debbie Goldstein, and I am so excited to come and work with you and your colleagues at AliCor to help you navigate your most difficult conversations. So my dear friend and longtime collaborator, Dennis Faldsley, tells me what an amazing group this is, so I can't wait to roll up our sleeves and get to work. I've been teaching negotiation at Harvard Law School for the past 10 years, and I am the CEO of Triad Consulting Group, which is the firm that wrote the book Difficult Conversations. I'm also married with kids, so my whole life is filled with difficult conversations. And I don't know if you've had the experience that I have, but as I have become more senior in my organization, I had this fantasy that I would sort of be promoted out of difficult conversations. And what I find is exactly the opposite, which is that the more senior I have become, I spend a disproportionate amount of my day navigating the most high profile, the hardest, the highest impact, and the most difficult conversations. And what I also know from my work of working with executives and senior leaders in all different industries all over the world is that it does not matter how smart you are, and it doesn't matter how skilled you are or how senior you are, but that we all, each of us, has a sort of secret list of the conversations that we just personally find difficult, that we would rather outsource if we could. And yet we can't outsource them. We need to have the skill to have these conversations. So in our time together, it's going to be incredibly interactive. I hope it's going to be fun. And we're going to tackle how do we shift our mindset around difficult conversations. I'm going to offer you an analytical framework for how to think through them and prepare for them in a more robust and nuanced way. And then we're going to build some skill. I'm going to offer you some tools and ways of having these conversations differently and better. And of course, we want everything to be applied, so you're going to be practicing in our session. In order for us to hit the ground running, Dennis previewed, but I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of pre-work, which is to take one of the conversations that you've thought about for Dennis's session and do some robust work on it. I'm going to ask you to do something called a 2-column case, and it's quite simple. I invite you to take a recent conversation with one other person that didn't go that well, that you don't feel great about it, you don't like how you behaved, or the outcome wasn't optimal. And what I'd invite you to do in the right-hand column is to write out the script of what each of you said. This is what I said, this is what she said, this is what I said, this is what she said, almost like a movie script. In the left-hand column, what I invite you to write, unfiltered, is what you were thinking and feeling, but not saying. It doesn't have to be polite. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's really the sort of unfiltered version of what you were thinking, but didn't actually say in the conversation. Hopefully this will just take a few minutes, but if you can do that and bring it with you to our session, it can really help us hit the ground running. I am so excited to work with you and can't wait to see you soon. Bye.